Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Please let me know if you can hear that air conditioner. I think it's kind of loud. Do you hear like a roaring sound? Matter of fact, um, I'm going to go ahead and turn it off because I feel like I can't hear myself think. Okay. Uh, yeah. Anyway, it'll take a minute to crank down, but seems kind of loud for my taste. All right. Let's see who was here first. Just out of curiosity, Judy Matasset, thank you so much for being first. I really do appreciate it. And Lydia Washington, thank you so much for being here. Fancy, okay, it's quiet now. I felt like I was talking over it. Fancy, Hazel Jones. Let me see, Emerald Derrick. Oh, you know what? I need slides. I need slides. Okay. And of course, I'm going to try my best to get you all out of here in an hour. Um, okay. Hello, Dan Speed, Eva Sanchez, Adrian Burrow, CK Bonzola, Joya Moore. All right, there we go. There we go. Um, One of my most ingenious titles ever. Harry and Meghan, Kamala and Tim. That is clever. Epic. Epic. Okay. So let me start with the Sussexes because this is something that I'm not sure if I've ever talked about it before, but if I haven't spoke about it before, I'm going to do it now. And that is um, the body language. Harry's body language. It pains me to hear these people, usually the tabloid body language experts, as well as the derangers themselves. They come up with all of these scenarios. The worst, of course, the most offensive is when they say that Harry is being bullied. I hate hearing that. That she wears the pants, she's controlling him, you know, the things that they say. But in particular, the ones that get under my skin are interviews like this one. When they say Harry looks like he's trapped, he looks like he's sad, he's never happy around her. Um, it is courageous to take on some of those topics that the Sussexes have been tackling, especially when it comes to grief, when it comes to what this particular thing was about, where the words I'm avoiding saying having to do with children who have found themselves lost in the online world, right? Those types of things. It has a very heavy effect on Harry. Meghan obviously is affected by it, but her demeanor is different. The way she carries herself is different. But when she speaks about certain topics, you can always see that she has a certain fire in her eyes, right? And one of the things that they were saying is that she shot him a look. If looks can kill, daggers were coming out of her eyes. And the difference between the two is that Meghan's looks become very, very focused. She is focused on what is being said. And it's not to say that Harry isn't focused, but Meghan's appearance, her body language, she looks extremely focused. And if I did not know them, I'm going to just guess that looking at some still shots of them in an interview or in a setting, in a talk or a chat or whatever the situation, whatever you want to call it, a group setting, if I didn't know Meghan, I would say, wow, she looks very serious. And if I didn't know Harry, I would feel that he is very emotional about the topic. And that is the only thing that I've ever noticed about the two of them when they're in these types of situations is that there is that occasion when Meghan becomes very focused on what other people are saying. And Harry, in between the parts where he's actually speaking, he um, it's as though he is feeling the pain. He is that very empathetic person that is, I guess, if he had a superpower, he would try to draw the pain out of you and suffer through it himself. That is what I see from them. But the derangers, the so-called royal reporters, the rodents, they have a way of explaining things that, as far as I'm concerned, is not rooted in reality. And it gets on my nerves a lot. Most times I try to avoid it. I'm like, nope, I'm not looking at that. Let me just keep going. Because you already know, you can just pretty much guess what is going to be said. It's never really any surprise. It has to be something negative, anti Sussex, accused him of being woke. You know, that I hate that word, but whatever happened to good old fashioned liberal? Brown Girl, thank you so much for 27 months membership. Thank you so much for 27 months, and hello to you too. Okay. Yeah, I have it. That is a very good observation. Let's see. Well, that is one thing. Let me see. Esmeralda, bullying him, projecting is really a psychological term. Seek help. People also at 43, the subject is very serious. Well, and what has changed for Harry and Meghan in the last few years? They have children of their own. They have children of their own. And how could you possibly, as a parent, as a new parent, as a parent, of course, as Harry has suffered a traumatic loss as a child? How do you hear other parents speak about their loss and not visibly show signs of sadness or despair? How could you not? Not to mention that between the two of them, as long as they have waited to start a family, the death of their unborn child, and the fact that they have lived under constant threat. What was supposed to be a fairy tale turned into, well, what it is right now. And there's no way to undo that. As long as they both live, they are going to be a curiosity to a lot of people and a means of wealth building for the tabloid media. So there's no going back to a quiet life for Meghan. And as for Harry, that's a luxury that was never afforded to him in the first place. But these are very serious topics. Oh yeah. Yep. Wakanda level to protect her husband and babies. Absolutely. Wishful thinking on the part of the derangers that Prince Harry isn't happy and black women are masculine bullies. Yeah, exactly. It is always that with black women where they try to make them seem like they're these Amazonian type of warriors that have spared no one's feelings. And that seems to be like the like some type of plan is to emasculate black men, and of course, I'm not even sure how to say it, but to make black women seem more masculine. That seems to be like a trend in certain areas where they have that goal in mind. That seems to be the agenda. So I selected a few photos here. So there's Meghan with, and I promise you, I hate to say that I looked, but I did. And I'm just trying to see. I said to myself, I'm not insane. I know I watched the interview. Where is that look? Where is the look? They didn't have any individual image that was supposed to be the look. And of course, the person who wrote an article about Meghan's appearance the person that I'm referring to that wrote that article about Meghan's appearance, um, let me just say, I hope that there's someone special to that person um, that is giving them any type of look. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, I hope someone is looking their way. I pray that someone is looking their way so that maybe they'll leave Harry and Meghan alone. Maybe if somebody was looking their way, then Harry and Meghan wouldn't have to be subject to the nasty article that that person has written about them. Yes, I hope someone's looking her way. I hope there's someone out there that is special to her, someone who pleases her, someone who makes her feel wanted and needed and special. I hope she has that because it seems as though it would explain a whole lot why the constant, and then of course, they had the nerves to say, I hope I'm not being too pessimistic, I think was the language that they threw in there at the end. But it's constantly that, right? This is someone who I liken to being the love child of the late actor Jack Elam, and God knows who the mother was. Now, of course, that's not true. And for the sake of parody, I have said that. But absent the truth, what else am I to think? What else am I to think? Well, Lydia, I know that you're a church going person, but you're supposed to say, now you know damn well. You know what I'm saying? I just, if you don't have that, please go and find it. If you don't have it, go and find it. Leave Harry and Meghan alone. This is the same person who said that Tom Cruise looked like some kind of freaky garden gnome. I think she referred to him as a garden gnome, that he looked like some kind of, I forget the exact language that she used. And I'm just, considering the source, it's like, seriously? Seriously. This is the one who made comment about the way Tom Cruise looks, and how fatigued she was with his appearance. Good thing that nobody is soliciting our opinions, right? Still, and like I said, I went through it. I was trying to find the look, the definitive look. I couldn't find it. And then, of course, Meghan speaks about her own situation, and the tabloids made a mockery of it. The derangers made a mockery of it. While they're talking about bullying being one of the devastating outcomes from the social media platforms for young people, that they're being bullied, and older people too, by the way. While they're talking about that, people were going on the Sunday morning um, videos and leaving nasty bullying comments without any regard to the topic, the other parents, the fact that this not for profit is trying to help, trying to help families that are struggling, trying to help families that are grieving, and trying to warn families so that they don't find themselves in a similar position. It is maddening. It is absolutely maddening. So Harry looks on attentively as Meghan is speaking. When Meghan speaks about her own experience with being bullied, with the negativity, the fact that she felt that, at certain points, she just didn't want to be, right? When she spoke about her experience, um, that was an excuse to say some terrible, terrible things about the fact that she wants to speak at all, that she's trying to help someone else, that their foundation is trying to help. And then also, there is the constant accusations that they're taking the money. Now, listen, a lot of that is bots, there's not a person behind it. But it is still problematic because it creates an air of negativity and the fact that they want real people to read it. They want us to read it and react. They want other people to read it and be assured that, oh, yeah, what you've been saying or thinking or hearing is all true. After all, somebody else said it. And then, of course, why in the world did Meghan touch his knee, touch his leg? Why did she do that? Because that's her husband? Because she was speaking about something that made her feel a bit anxious, nervous, um, naked, for lack of a better word? How about raw nerve? It struck a nerve, and a very raw nerve at that. There was the possibility that Jane Pauley might ask her, and she said, I'm not surprised, or something to that effect. I thought you might ask about that, and sure, we can talk about it. Now, because Meghan is such a caring, loving, thoughtful person, certainly she wasn't likely to refuse Jane Pauley. She didn't want Jane Pauley to feel uncomfortable or ill at ease for even asking the question. So we're there to talk about these things. Let's talk. And that was it. And as she often has, she sought comfort from her husband. Isn't that what they're married for? Isn't that the whole point of being a couple? Is that you're there to love and uplift and comfort one another? And again, I hope that there is someone out there that is loving and comforting and uplifting everyone, including the people who seem to hate for no particular reason, who always has some nasty anecdote to throw in there about anything and everything, in particular, the Sussexes. This person makes their living for being the eternal pessimist. Does anything good ever happen for this woman? Anything? Does anything ever good happen where she's just in a jovial mood and feel the need to celebrate a moment, celebrate humanity, celebrate someone's accomplishment? And by the way, she's a great writer. She is a fantastic writer. I mean, brilliant writer. I can detach myself from the nasty, awful subject matter and say, hey, she's a good writer, a fantastic writer. But I don't like the tone of it. She can come up with her command of the English language is exceptional. And yet it is wasted on trivial gossip, innuendos, hearsay, nonsense. Is there nothing better to do with your time? Yeah, it is clearly just for the clicks. It is clearly just for the clicks. So Harry's expressing himself. Harry is wonderful when it comes to expressing himself. He has a way of explaining things, and the emotional intelligence is obvious. He has what they call emotional intelligence. Not always the biggest words, but he expresses himself in a very clear and concise, intelligent manner. And my only frustration is, imagine how many more people could benefit from their hard work if it wasn't this attempt to drown them out with pessimism, with doubt. I see you, Marshar. I see you. You want to pool some money and try to send over a Chippendale dancer or what? I mean, I'm willing to put at least $20 down on something, anything, so we can all relax. Okay. And then there's this moment, the attempt to hijack this moment. Oh, Venus didn't stand up. Um, Meghan touched her husband again. What else? See, what else did they say? Um, Well, they didn't say much about the way Harry was looking in the crowd. Oh, yes, they did. I'm sorry. I take that back. They did. They said that he looked uncomfortable or something to that effect. But they always say Harry looks uncomfortable. Um, but at the end of the day, they are happy and quite in love with each other, which is more than I could say for most of their critics. If that's what is meant to be British, if that is what they mean by being English, that you're so reserved, that you have denied all emotions and tactile, nurturing um, displays because you're afraid of what people may think, that is really unfortunate. That is really unfortunate. Get me to one of those romantic places like Spain or Portugal or Italy or something where people know how to put out, for lack of a better word. And then, of course, I do hope that everyone has a partner. I wish everyone to have a partner who could look upon you with pride and joy at your accomplishments. The way that Meghan looked, well, actually, Meghan was the first on her feet with a standing ovation. I hope everyone has a Meghan or a Harry to look adoringly upon them as they teach or share or accomplish or are rewarded for all the things that they have done in life. I hope everyone has that. Even the person who is a brilliant writer that writes a bunch of vicious, cruel, mean spirited things. And yes, I will say I have laughed at some of the things that she said about other people, like the Queen Consort being trundled into the Westminster Abbey. Um, I will say I'm going to give that person credit for that. And I'm going to say how funny that was. Um, Big difference is the person who was being trundled, I feel as though they deserved the comment about being trundled into the Westminster Abbey. But Harry, whose childhood was no bowl of cherries, it was not a ongoing garden party. I, it doesn't matter what the income level of the family is, what uh, being at the top of the aristocracy, none of that matters when you are being neglected and abused by a system, by a parent, and by a sibling. None of that matters. Being abused by the staff or courtiers. Doesn't matter how much money that family has. But if you have been neglected and abused by all of the above mentioned, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You don't have a right to go after him. And he's the one, albeit a household name, but yet he suffered under that oppressive system. And dare I say, I don't think he's completely free of it. I think physically you can remove someone from that situation, but mentally, that is a process. That is a process. And he still has so much to process. Okay, I'm going to finish off this part speaking about the Hudson Yard event. Now, this one in particular, they really, really went in on this one. Let me just start with the furniture. Look at the thickness of that cushion. That cushion is like an iceberg. I mean, it is extraordinarily thick, right? And poor Harry, with that narrow little behind of his, just sunk right into the chair. And so instantly he looks uncomfortable because his knees are too high. His hips are far lower than his knees. I'm going to say it looks like about a good maybe 6 to 8 inches of difference between the height of his knees and his hips. He looks uncomfortable. That is a typical club chair, is what they call those kind of chairs. Meghan, you know, she seems okay. Of course, she's lighter. I'm sure Harry outweighs her by at least 50 pounds. And he's taller. And so he's sinking into the chair. Marshar, we'll get to that, okay? Anyway, so he's sinking into the chair. So, because of that, they were saying that Harry looks sad and that his posture is really bad. Okay, whoever selected that furniture, not a good idea. And I'm pretty sure they didn't realize that for that forum, it was not really adequate. Now take a look here. What's his name? What is that guy's name? You can see how he's managing. He is literally sitting on the edge of the seat because he doesn't want to sink into that chair. Do you understand what I'm saying? I just want to make this very clear. This was not a good thing as far as furniture is concerned. Carson Daly, thank you so much, Lydia. Carson Daly. This was not good just based on the furniture. And then take a look at the Surgeon General of the United States. He's about Harry's height. Look at how he's sitting in the chair. And poor Carson Daly, he decided, well, let me see. I don't want my knees in my chest. I think I will cross my legs at the ankle. Because sitting in those chairs, did you notice Harry didn't cross his legs? The Surgeon General didn't cross his legs, and neither did Carson Daly, because the furniture is not really suitable for a stage. It is not suitable. If everyone was sitting higher, then it probably wouldn't look so strange. But because people are all lower than the level of the stage, it just looks strange. And so they use that as an excuse to say that Harry was uncomfortable and that he gets so nervous around Meghan. Now I'm going to show you one more. This one right here. You can see that Harry is also very uncomfortable with the subject matter. He is in pain because he's looking at the faces of the parents that are in pain. This was a very heavy subject. Now, there are a couple of photos of Meghan where she looks absolutely horrified. Not in the uncomfortable sense, but just in the it's incredible to hear what people have been through, was the look she had. And so my point is, they weaponize what otherwise is a very emotional moment, a moment that was custom made to outreach, to help, to explain, to nurture, to start conversations. And as I always say, if you don't know how to have certain conversations with people, you could always recommend certain, I guess, videos or a book or some type of lecture, whatever it is, to give that person the opportunity to speak about things that they may not feel comfortable saying without some type of guidance. You know, people need guidance to get through grief. It's not enough just to leave a person alone. Sometimes it's not enough to listen, but sometimes they just need to someone to say, "Hey, I'm here. It's okay if you're not better yet." All of those things. You sometimes do need guidance. You need other people that have a mutual situation, a mutual interest. So, but yeah, it bothers me that they do that. Now, this lady right here, one of the derangers, I think it was a deranger, they accused Meghan of being so cheerful and happy and trying to, I forgot what the exact words, but they said this woman came to this event in grief, and there's Meghan smiling and laughing. Well, first of all, this was a group shot, right? And so the photo on the left was cropped from a group shot. And unfortunately, Meghan is on the end. And what happens when you're on the end? The warped, the curvature of the lens actually causes you to look weird. So that's the photo on the left, and that's the photo everyone was sharing. Realizing that, I actually edited the photo on the right. Now, I didn't intend to brighten the photo, but that's what happened when I copied it from the other one. The software did some automatic toning, and so I wasn't trying to brighten the photo. That just happened. Also, you'll notice that the angle of her head has been corrected. You could actually remove that warped type of angle that comes from the lens, right? And so I just did that because it was getting on my nerves and I just didn't want to share it looking all strange. So this lady is a squatty, and I believe she lives in New York. I don't know what her name is, but she's on Twitter quite often, and she was able to go to the Hudson Yard. I do not believe that she was actually a parent in grief. She was there to partake in this event, but I do not believe that she was one of the parents that was in grief. She was one of the squatties who wanted to be there to support Harry and Meghan. That was it. But they swore up and down that in some kind of way that Meghan had mistreated her. And in all these instances, these things are either easily explained or it is quite obvious that the chairs are just too low. Easily explained. But we know that that's not the point. If they can figure out a way to make the Sussexes seem like the worst people in the world, or that they're misguided, or that they are, what is the, all of the words I won't bother saying, but all of the things that they use to describe them. Sure, you could easily make the case, although it's a lie, you can make the case that it's this or it's that, and just ignore or gloss over the fact that because people have died way too young is the only reason why those parents were there. And as parents, as the activists, as the humanitarians that the Sussexes are, and also victims of online bullying themselves. And as parents who I'm afraid their children may possibly be affected by online bullying, they have as much interest in hosting these events and facilitating these events, partnering with other agencies They've made plenty of donations. They talk to all the right people. They have every right to be there. They're not exploiting anyone. They're parents just like anybody else. And it's unfortunate that because of hate and because of profit, they ignore that. And then, of course, after the Hudson Yard, they went over to that Science Academy place, and Meghan donned her Letterman jacket that she received from the UK, I believe it was. And then it was a whole nother thing. So, um, you guys, we are doing what we can do. We uplift, we celebrate, we share their accomplishments, we help to project the agenda that they are involved in, whatever it is, whether it's because of these parents that lost their children way too young, because of online bullying, social media, whether they're feeding people or whether it's for the veterans, we will be there in their corner. So don't worry about the negative stuff. We can do what we can do, right? Just keep projecting all of the positive things about their work. Don't even bother getting into those little battles in the comment section, because remember, there's an excellent chance that it's not even a person, it's a bot. When the way the bots work is that when they look at the comments, and I do mean the search engine, whatever algorithm they're using, they look for your comment. And if you say certain words, it just like the AI, well, it is AI, it can figure out a way to respond to something positive with something negative, right? And that's why sometimes the things that they say make so little sense because it's not a person, it's a computer program. Absolutely. They'll be just fine. They'll be just fine. Absolutely. Plus, they got us, and that's a good place to be. So, Connie Balmer. Hey, Connie Balmer, thank you so much for being here. So, just wanted to point those out that that is what I've noticed um, about the agenda that the haters and the tabloid media and such have compared to the actual events. And hopefully there are somebody's out there who will have a change of heart about some of the negative things that they have been pushing, and that I hope that they could look at Harry and Meghan as real, authentic people instead of this characterization that has been created by the gaslighting, vicious, mean, manipulative tabloid media and other derangers. Because there's plenty of people hate listening. You don't see them in the comments so much because I've blocked so many of them. I mean, I must have blocked at least, I'm going to guess at least 2,000 people have been blocked from the comments. Either you go make a new account or you just, you know, we'll never. And the thing is, a lot of them don't even know they're blocked. They don't even know they're blocked. Yep, they don't even know they're blocked. But you'll get tired before we do. We'll keep blocking you. And also, one of the reasons why you don't see so much of it is that certain, you know how they use AI to push those bots out there? Well, I got a little AI of my own, and certain language is prohibited on Royal Sussex. And that's why you don't see so much of it. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the words are, but that's why you don't see so much of it. And if by chance you accidentally use the language to describe something, do not feel like you're being blocked deliberately. It's just we're trying to avoid certain people from ruining our experience. That's all. So there you go. That's what I have to say about that. Yes, amen to that. Isn't it funny they don't speak about what's happening in England? Harry said Harry said that it wasn't safe. And of course, what have I been saying? How many times have you heard me say that the media is the face of England? They're tabloids. That is the face of England. Not the people, but the tabloids. There's a very small minority, a very a very vocal minority, a very drunken, hateful minority of people that um, they yell the loudest and they get the attention. And unfortunately, it makes the rest of the country look bad. And that's really unfortunate. So, speaking of which, King Charles asked for daily updates on riots across Britain as police prepare for 100 demonstrations on busiest night yet. The monarch is said to be engaging privately in the issues around the riots, which have been engineered by far right thugs, fueled by misinformation. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. Fueled by misinformation about the Southport stabbings, right? Um, isn't it rich that one of the main perpetrators of misinformation is explaining that there is a copious amount of misinformation? No, there's an incredible amount of misinformation. There's a huge amount of misinformation, which is the reason why these things are happening. Isn't it rich? It almost sounds like what? Lord Nappyhead's paper. They're some of the worst of them all. We haven't forgot. Isn't it amazing how they can detach themselves from problems that I am going to allege that they helped to cause? Isn't that rich? Racially ambiguous owner of the Daily Mail, who doesn't even live in the UK, and as far as reports go, don't even pay taxes, has the mother of all tax shelters. His newspaper, which he inherited, says that the monarch is said to be engaging privately in issues around the riots, listen carefully, which have been engineered by the far right thugs, fueled by misinformation about the Southport stabbing. So let's just say, as far as this situation is concerned, I don't know that the Daily Mail, I don't believe they said anything about the identity of the perpetrator, but it's not that. Where they bear some responsibility is the fact that the nasty, negative abuse of the immigrant community, the tabloid media has been responsible for declaring that, like even today, even today, there was an article mumbling Joe Biden. They referred to the president of the United States who has a speech impediment as mumbling Joe Biden. That's what they call him. Mumbling Joe Biden. That's nice, isn't it? Mumbling Joe Biden. Joe Biden has had a speech impediment, a stutter, from childhood. Now, if you know anybody that has a stammer, when they are stressed, when they are emotional, it only gets worse. They can go through all kind of therapy or practice and rehearsal to suppress their stammer. But during times of stress, it is glaringly obvious that that person has a speech impediment. And leave it to the Daily Mail to declare that mumbling Joe Biden said XYZ. And yet, I have had people in the comments section that declare that I am in the wrong if I point out someone's inability to speak properly. And just to demonstrate that, let's reach out to Kensington Palace, shall we?
Well, obviously, it'd be. I would love to have met her, and she's obviously she's an inspirational woman to look up to. Obviously, on to this day, and going forward and things. It is. It's a wonderful family. The members who I've met have achieved a lot, and very inspirational. So, yeah, I do.
You do what, girl? What do you do? What do you do? Besides grinning, what do you do? And it's only going to get worse. So when people say, "Ooh, that wasn't really nice," so you're not nice to Joe Biden. Why should I be nice to Kitty if you're not nice to Joe Biden? Right? Joe Biden, mumbling Joe Biden. That's what they called him. I'm not making it up. That is what they have put on headlines ever since. Well, anyway, since Joe Biden stepped down, that is when I've seen the most of it. So don't expect me to show any deference and consideration to the head of state with the childbearing hips, the Princess of Wales, who speaks like she's got a mouthful of marbles. Don't expect me to show any deference to those people either. I don't feel a need to. It's in the public's interest for me to point out that, well, to point this out.
Well, obviously, it'd be. I would love to have met her, and she's obviously she's an inspirational woman to look up to. Obviously, on to this day, and going forward and things. It is. It's a wonderful family. The members who I've met have achieved a lot, and very inspirational. So, yeah, I do.
Unintelligible word salad. And that is one of the things that they say about Meghan all the time. I couldn't understand that word salad. It would sound to me like a bunch of word salad. I don't know too many people that communicate as well as Meghan. And yet, because they say so, it must be word salad. Kenzie Schofield, with all of her nastiness about Meghan, right? She always has something negative to say about Meghan. And she's weeping and crying and hysterical because of Kate's issues. I would say the loss of an unborn child is pretty severe. And what was that? One of the tabloid people said, "Well, Megan's had to learn the hard way what it's like to give birth at an older, later stage, or at a certain age, or something like that." Never mind, never mind the fact that Megan has been racially abused and every other type of emotional abuse up to 50 times in one day from one newspaper. And that's just one newspaper while pregnant. Megan said herself, the worst abuse happened during pregnancy. That is when she got the worst of it. And not one person in that institution, not one person in the tabloid media has come forward to say, hey, this is not good. We can't do that. I'm going to personally refrain from any of this or that. No, that didn't happen. They turned up the heat. When they thought for sure that it was burning, they turned the heat up. And sometimes I'm just not in a charitable mood where the rest of that family is concerned. But you all know that. And I apologize for nothing. I don't apologize for anything I've ever said about anybody in that family. Because they have no apologies for Meghan. And I'm just that petty. So Britain stands united. You guys, praise the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. I'm so glad for this. Tens of thousands of people have taken to the street with anti race hating, anti, you know, I forgot what they called it. But anyway, they are out there to support Black and brown people, to support immigrants, to support asylum seekers. They're out there to show their support, to let people know that you're welcome, that you are part of this country. You have a home. So thank God for that. I have been really upset about this. I have been very upset about it. And it bothered me. I didn't like it. So fear riot locations, and I don't know exactly, how things worked out today, because there was more good in this world than bad, right? But I saw some videos that did not make the evening news and some that did make the evening news. I saw this Black girl in a panic, in tears, running through the streets of whatever town. And fortunately, this woman took her hand and said, I will help you get home. This white woman took her hand and said, they'd have to come through me first. And I mean to tell you, I almost broke down and cried like a baby because of the generosity, the kindness, the love and concern that this woman and her companion shown to someone who was in such a panic she could not figure out how to get home. She was holding her phone. She recorded this. She was holding her phone. She was breathless in a panic, trying to figure out how to get home safely, wondering if there's anybody after her. I saw that on Twitter, by the way. So a lot of these things are not covered on television. A lot of these things you could only find in social media, in the TikTok, in the Twitter, in the Instagram and such, um, and I suppose YouTube. But a lot of this is not covered. One should hope so, Heather Stroud. I hope so. Because the people that started this, they were wrong. It was predicated on a lie that a Muslim person crossed the ocean or crossed the channel with the intent, instead of the fact that the person that took the lives of those beautiful little girls, that person is different. Okay. I don't want to say what diagnosis, but that person is different. That young man is troubled. And for what they've already said the young man is suffering from, I believe it requires further investigation. Um, but the problem is, as a black or brown person, you're not allowed to be, um, for lack of a better word, mentally ill. You're not allowed for those types of deficiencies. It can cost you your life. You cannot have a diabetic seizure. It can cost you your life. It may be misunderstood as aggression or something like that. There's a lot of things that are okay for someone white, they get the benefit of the doubt. But for, especially here in the US, for a black person, it could be the last thing that you ever do. I've seen it happen. We're not allowed to have a mental break. That kid needs some help. It won't bring those girls back, but that kid needs some help. And we don't even know what that child was exposed to on the internet. That is also a factor. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the soundbite, but James O'Brien spoke about the fact that the man who was wielding a sword that killed a black kid weeks ago, there was no race riot for that. There was no race riot for that. James O'Brien said, "Where's that race riot?" A young man who happened to be black was killed by someone wielding a sword. Nothing. But the unfortunate loss of any child is painful, and those three little girls are no exception. They know where the lies started. They know where the lies started. They know who perpetuated the lie. They're not after the people so much that, retweeted it, as much as the people with the very large followings that were very irresponsible, that either made up the lie in the first place or they retweeted it. They know where it came from. It's not too difficult to source who started this. And they did name some people. They have, I believe, arrested some people. So there's that. It's not going to undo a lot of the damage that's been done. And one of the stories that I saw today was unfortunately, there was a gentleman of African descent who struggled to pay for a vehicle that he could use in his work so that he could care for people, regardless of their race. He could care for people who couldn't care for themselves, who don't get out the house, who may be suffering from whatever. And while he was conducting business, a group of thugs overturned his car and set it on fire. He actually went and wept. He said all he could think about was how much he had to save to buy the car in the first place. And these people, in their blind hatred for this black man, have cost him more than they could ever possibly know and probably wouldn't care about anyway. Those are just some of the things that I witnessed while I was on social media today. But that was a news story that actually, you know, a lot of people know about. So this has been really bad, and I hope that we've seen the last of it. I hope that that's it, and that some semblance of normalcy can be reinstated. And hopefully, this is a teachable moment. But this has been terrible. It's been awful. I'm trying to see if I can find the James O'Brien. And so far, no. And I thought I saved it, and apparently I didn't, but it was brilliant as usual. Oh, I did find it. I did find it. Okay. Okay. I'm going to play it for you. I'm not even going to worry about the, what do you call it? I'm just going to play it for you. So let me do this and I'll play it for you. But um, leave it to James O'Brien. That's why I call him Brother James O'Brien, because he's absolutely brilliant. Also, don't forget to hit the like button, you guys. Please hit that like button. That is how we keep the lights on around here, because it does help to drive the algorithm. Okay. I'm almost there. So I'm going to put this up. Uh,
Kid killed by a white man with a sword a few months ago. Do you remember that story? You don't, do you? Shall I tell you why you don't remember that story? It's a black kid, and a white man had the sword. Where were the riots? But remember, it's got nothing to do with race or religion, and it's definitely not Islamophobic. And of course, you're right, and I'm wrong when you point out to me you shouldn't say a black man killed 3 white girls. It was a boy. It was a 17-year-old boy. But you know that the colour of his skin is the most important element in the violence of the rioters, because they are racist terrorists terrorizing communities.
You know what?
It's a kid killed by a white man with a sword a few months ago. Do you remember that story? You don't, do you? Shall I tell you why you don't remember that story? It's a black kid, and a white man had the sword. Where were the riots? But remember, it's got nothing to do with race or religion, and it's definitely not Islamophobic. And of course, you're right, and I'm wrong when you point out to me you shouldn't say a black man killed 3 white girls. It was a boy. It was a 17-year-old boy. But you know that the colour of his skin is the most important element in the violence of the rioters, because they are racist terrorists.
okay. So there you go. That's just a small little snippet of what James O'Brien had to say about it. As he said, where was the riots? A white man kills a kid with a sword, no riots. And the three girls die because this kid took their lives with a knife. And because they thought it was an Arab who crossed the English Channel, they didn't know the race of the perpetrator. They did not know the age of the perpetrator. They didn't know anything. The police withheld that information because the young man was days shy of his 18th birthday. So legally, they were not allowed to share that information. But the judge made an exception because of the misinformation, which, believe it or not, I'm going to agree with the judge. It was the right thing to do. Because at some point, it was going to be known anyway. And if these crowds of people would have continued with rumors and misinformation, things would have only gotten worse. Right? Things would have only gotten worse. So I'm going to agree with the judge. It was the right thing to do. Just as they did with those two children years ago, where it was just too big. It could not be contained. And as you can see, based upon rumor and innuendo, the entire country has been brought to a standstill because of it. So that's just my opinion. So the fire has been stoked by billionaires owned press. Immigrants welcome and loved. Let me see. I could not make out so many of these signs, but that's just a couple of them right there. I think that is bash the fash, meaning bash the fascism or the fascists. Lift up and something. No, it's uplift and listen to Black and brown people. That's the sign that one of the girls is carrying. So, yeah, as you can see, people had had enough of it and they mobilized and they hit the street because a race war, it will really cripple the nation. And unfortunately, here in the US, there are so many people that want that desperately. And fortunately, their wishes have not come true yet. So, okay. And then there you can see the I don't know what town this is, but let me see. Refugees welcome here. Well, you can see all those people that flooded the streets in the name of peace. Yeah. Yeah, and I think too, it also depends on the state. In some states, when you declare, when they charge a child as an adult, then of course all of your rights go out the window. Um, and the thing is, state by state, I think is very different. So unless there's a Supreme Court ruling, then all states are going to do what they want to do unless there's a directive from the Supreme Court. Then they just, or precedent from the Supreme Court, then some of these states, they'll do whatever it is they want to do. And another thing that they do here in the US, I don't know if you guys know this, but you guys outside of the US, when there's a crime committed, I don't care how terrible the crime, if it's a white kid that commits the crime or a white person that commits the crime, well, a young person, they will use their high school yearbook photos for the newspapers, for the media. If it's a black kid that commits the crime, they will use the mugshot. I repeat, white kid yearbook photo, black kid mugshot. And it's not saying that the white kid doesn't have a mugshot. They're not going to use it because they want to humanize the white children and they want to villainize the black children. So the black children, and I'm speaking anyone who is, either charged as an adult, and that means that, they are treated as an adult. They will share the information. Or if the young man or woman is over 18 years of age, then, they will use the yearbook photo for white children and, of course, mugshots for black children. Happens all the time in the US. Okay. So again, but let's just take this to heart, that thousands of people took to the streets and they said, not in my country, not in my country. Okay? Remember that. Don't let the lasting impression be the people that burned a car or chased people through the street. The lasting impression ought to be the honest, hardworking people that look at other hardworking people, regardless of race or religion, as their neighbors and not some type of terrorists or whatever. So, okay. And then there you can see some of the newspapers, the same newspapers that perpetuated a lot of these negative stereotypes. Look at what they're doing now. Now, all of a sudden, they are Mother Teresa of Calcutta. They just love everybody, don't they? They have turned into Mother Teresa of Calcutta. Mm-hmm. They are Coretta Scott King. You would think Coretta Scott King owns the Express or the Daily Mail, right? All they want is fairness. They want you to forget about this. This is not the impression that they want you to keep. Migrant channels strolled to asylum in Britain. Britain broken borders. Why we must not take the 3,000 migrant children. Why we must not take 3,000 children. What else are you going to do with them? I don't care how you feel about it. What else are you going to do with them? If they're there, what are you going to take them out to sea? What's your option at that point? We're stuffed, meaning we don't have room for anyone else. We can take from other places, but we're not going to stick our hand out to help anybody. EU open door for 79, what is that? 79 million from Turkey? So you mean to tell me 79 million people in Turkey just want to leave and come to Britain? 79 million? Those headlines are designed to stoke fear. That's the whole point of it. So Glow said, it seems that the far-right politicians and commentators are liars. They do not speak for the majority. The UK has shown that there is more humanity than depravity. There's more humanity than depravity. I like that. So there you go. That is the real Britain, not those people that we've been looking at the past few days. This is the real Britain. The thing is, people get complacent and they neglect to speak up as often as they should, the way they should. But eventually, they'll come around. They have. And as for the other ones, the ones that go to the pub and drink beer and then run out and chase people and burn their cars, and yeah, they can go to hell. Raffaella Bertoni, thank you for the super sticker. And also, I noticed that you sent a super sticker yesterday just as I logged off. So thank you for that one too. Thank you very much. And Connie Balmer, thank you for the super sticker. And thank you so much for being here. Always appreciate it. There you go, everyone. That is the real Britain. Genetically superior, athletic. Um, they have taken a cue from their ancient ancestors as they wear their helmets and chainmail. As they swig their ale and chant, God save the king. That is the real Britain. Forget everything I just said. That's the real Britain. Tits and all. uh, Thank you so much, Elaine Parker, for the super sticker. And thank you so much for being here. But no, this is an AI generated image of the EDL, the English Defense League. Again, do not be confused by that very loud vocal group of people that have hate in their heart. Um, as I said before, this is the real Britain. TMCD, thank you, Baron, for this safe space. Well, thank you so much for 16 months of membership. And thank you so much for being here to share this safe space. Okay. Let me see. How Americans see British, how the Europeans see the British. A lot of the recruitment for the, I guess, the white supremacists, the EDL, a lot of that happens at those sport matches, right? And it's true that a lot of people who, especially Americans, a lot of Americans, they don't know that other side of Britain. They don't know that other side of Britain. They think everything is bowler hats and umbrellas. Well, that's television. They don't know that Britain is a multicultural society, more so every day. And there's people that have been resistant of accepting that in Britain because of the tabloids, because of the tabloids, because of the politicians, the tabloids and the politicians. Racism and hate is something that comes from the top down, not from the bottom up. It comes from the top down. It was a way to justify the slave trade. It's a way to justify a lot of things that are illegal and immoral. But as for everyday working class people, it would be very different if it wasn't for the interference of very powerful people. But why do politicians want people to hate? They want people to hate because it brings people together. Not everybody, just the ones that can keep them in power, their constituents. It was so pathetic looking at Nigel Farage on television today trying to explain away the fact that he's one of the reasons that all of this happened. He wants to rewrite history, even though we have the receipts. But using language like mass invasion, is that helpful? I wonder if when they took those Benin bronzes, right? When those people in, was it the Kingdom of Benin? Was that what it was called? When they went into that foreign land that had its own government, its own leader, its own laws, and they did everything that they could think of, and then took the treasure, burned down the palace and everything else. I wonder if anybody stopped and said, wait a minute, that's not right. That was an invasion. I don't think so. They just did what they wanted to do. And as for Charles with his little ill-timed, keep me abreast of the situation, will you? He's just glad that nobody's after him. It wouldn't be the first time, but he's just glad that nobody's trying to corner him and his consort, looking like she about to lay an egg. Charles? Charles? Lex says the UK works to hide itself in the US. Remember, after UK nannies shook babies, then they came out with Super Nanny and Nanny 911, brand Britain at work. Oh, I remember when there was a lot of cases of that back in the day, right? I remember that. Thank you so much for your super chat, by the way. But yeah, there's always been this idea as an American, when we hear an English accent, it's either a supernatural being who is smart and courageous and has integrity, or is somebody that 007 has been looking for. There is no in between. But the truth is, there's an undercurrent of racism in that society that a lot of Americans do not even know exists. They just don't know. And then there's a lot of Americans who have romanticized this idea of going to Europe because they're different over there. They're not like here in the US. That was the 1920s. That was the 30s, right? They're thinking Paris and Josephine Baker and all the other Black performers and writers and intellectuals who went over there to escape Jim Crow. Well, it ain't like that no more. It ain't like that. And look, I get it. In some cases, I understand what it's like to suddenly, everything is different. I've lived in this neighborhood my whole life, and now all of a sudden, all the signs are in Spanish. That is upsetting to some people. They don't like that kind of change. That happens here in the US. There's neighborhoods. I know a neighborhood that was Polish. Before that, it was German. Then it was Czech, as in Czechoslovakia. It was a Czech neighborhood, a Bohemian community. And now it's mostly Latino. It changed several times in 100 years. But that's just how life goes. That's how it goes. And of course, just imagine what a crowd of angry people could do with Marie Antoinette. With Camilla Antoinette. God forbid. We don't want nothing to happen to that beast of a woman. But just imagine if there was a crowd that was going after that. How would she feel while she's safely tucked away in Scotland? Okay, so let's get on to Kamala Harris. Wow, that was an hour and a half. You guys, I'm so sorry. That was not my intention. I'm going to try to wrap this up as fast as I can. So today, Air Force Two, or the 757, is a Boeing 757. That is typically the plane that is used by the vice president. Now, the 747, or the military version of the 747, Air Force One, that is usually used by the President of the United States. The Vice President traditionally uses these smaller aircraft, which, by the way, the 757 is probably just slightly larger than the 707 that John F. Kennedy and Ronald Reagan used. From John F. Kennedy to Ronald Reagan, they used a 707, not very big, a little smaller than this one. And it was 4 engines instead of 2, just to show you how far we've come. But this plane has an extraordinary amount of range on it, which is top secret, but is a very powerful aircraft for something so small. So, of course, as Vice President, Kamala Harris used it. And even though she's campaigning for president, she is allowed, excuse me, to use official transportation provided by the taxpayers. Um, Otherwise, she would have to use some type of private or civilian aircraft. But she's second in line or first in line, whatever, to the presidency. So that's out of the question. So she gets all the bells and whistles, right? So they had the rally today in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. The other thing about this aircraft is that it can land at a smaller airport. This airport may not be big enough for a 747. So when that happens, both the president and the vice president will use the smaller aircraft. Lucy Highland, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you for being a member of Royal Sussex. Oh, I'm sorry, Super Chat. Thank you very much. Now, there is the future vice president, Tim Walz, and his family, as well as the current vice president, Kamala Harris, right? That is their arrival in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And there is the Air Force Two, and there's the crowd waiting to greet them. Oh, and by the way, remember, Air Force One is any plane that the president used. I don't care what it is. If the president is on board, it becomes Air Force One. If the vice president is on board, it becomes Air Force Two. They did that a long time ago because they had like a weird security situation because of confusion with a civilian aircraft. So that is why they used that designation. That's the call for the president and vice president. Air Force One, Air Force Two. And also, the number one royal anywhere in the world, the most popular royal, part of the dynamic duo, has also flown on that very same aircraft. That's right, the 757. It is also used by high-ranking members of the military and Congress. So if they are flying overseas, they need something that has good range. And so it's a good possibility that Meghan actually has flown on this aircraft even before Kamala Harris has flown on it, even before, well, no, Joseph Biden used it when he was vice president. So, but yeah, it's a good chance that that is the exact same aircraft. They do have more than one. They have probably 4 of those, and they have 2 of those 747s, the big one. but they have several of those aircraft. And the ones that the vice president used has just as much, shall we say, secret stuff on it as the big 747 Air Force One. So it is still a very secure aircraft. And take a look here. There's another image of our Duchess using what is likely the very same aircraft. And this is the arrival, I believe, in Afghanistan. Or was it Iraq? Anyway, that is the arrival for the USO. Yes, they have two 747 intercontinentals. There's two new aircraft, and there's a good chance that Kamala will be the first president to use it. Usually, when they get a new aircraft, the next president is the one that'll use it. So don't be surprised if on election day, or should I say inauguration day, don't be surprised if you see them mentioning the brand new 747, which has a different name because it's a military version. But don't be surprised if you see the first woman president on the first new presidential airplane. Now, something weird happened at the airport. Some big dunce came walking over to Air Force Two. You see all those black vehicles back there? That is the entourage. That is the Secret Service. That is the press corps that follows Vice President Harris. Well, unfortunately, Senator, what's that man's name? Vance, Senator Vance, who you see right here, had the nerves to walk across the airport and walk up to the reporters. And he said, I just wanted to come and say hi to you since the vice president doesn't want to give you a question and answer session, blah, 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 blah. You guys, I hope that Kamala doesn't say anything until after the convention. The reason why they are so pressed to get her to talk is because they want her to make a mistake. That's all it is. They want her to make a mistake. They want some kind of something that they can go on and on about. But right now, the vice president is ahead. And when you're ahead in the polls, you know what you do? Keep your mouth shut. There's nothing to talk about. The only reason why he did that is because he's desperate. He's trying to sing for his supper because he has caused more trouble for his guy than he's helped. Do you realize that ever since Shady Vance, thank you, Reba, ever since Shady Vance was announced as the vice presidential candidate, you know what happened to the polls? Nothing. There was no increase. There was no bump, nothing. If anything, they lost ground. He's an embarrassment. So he comes rushing over there to try to I guess troll Vice President Harris. Now, take a look at that white car behind Air Force Two. You see that? Well, that car is following some other cars. As he's standing there, Vice President Harris had already taken off. They had already taken off. So he's desperate. Now, notice the bodyguard. to show you what they think, and this is to show you what Trump thinks of Vance at this point. You see the lady? That's that bodyguard. That's that Secret Service agent who couldn't figure out how to put her gun back in the holster. Remember her? she was the one. She was the one that, well, it was two of them, but she was one of the ones that seemed like she didn't know what to do. And Donald Trump was like, get her away from me. Put her over there with Vance. So she has been demoted from the presidential candidate to the vice presidential candidate. That's a demotion. Yep. And there she is. This is one of those memes that they made showing her as, Kevin Costner. Now, there he is. So after that confrontation, after that trolling, then he decides to walk back over. Look at how pleased he is with himself. He just exposed himself as being quite desperate, quite thirsty for attention. So he walked over there to Air Force Two, which is looming in the background. He said, I just want to come and see what my new plane looks like up close. Punk, you ain't gonna ever get close to that plane. This is as close as you ever gonna get. And he better hope that Biden doesn't, I'm sorry, not Biden, but he better hope that Trump doesn't try to dump him before election day. So, yeah, so now he's stuck with 007 bodyguard, Secret Service agent. I hope she don't accidentally bust a cap in him trying to put her piece away. That was so funny. And look at the look on her face. Look at her face. Look at her face. Look at her mouth. Look at her mouth. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know what to do, poor thing. She didn't know what to do. She couldn't put her gun away because she couldn't figure out how to put it back on her. So now she's no longer with Trump. They done sent her over to Vance. I don't know how they're planning to get rid of Vance, but if I was him, I'd try to get my own private protection. Look at her. Look at her. They putting Trump inside of the SUV, and what is she doing? Exactly what is her role at this point? You know what I'm saying? And look at her mouth. Poor thing, she in a panic, ain't she? She don't know what to do. And also, is it just me or does she seem a little bit out of shape? She seemed a little bit out of shape to me. I don't know. I'm just saying. Maybe she's wearing a vest. But if she's wearing the vest, what is she wearing past the belt? You're so wrong for that. Oh, I know. Barney Fife, the shakiest gun in the West. Barney Fife, the Barney Fife of the FBI. She had one bullet in her pocket. Oh, you remember that Andy Sheriff Taylor, wouldn't allow Barney to have a loaded gun because he didn't trust him. So he made him keep it in his shirt pocket. And then every time something happened, he was shaking so much he couldn't never use it. He'd drop it, couldn't put it in the hole. No wonder he didn't have any kids. Oh man. She tickled me so bad. But look at her mouth. You can tell she don't know what to do. And look at that one. And to me, it looked like she's trying to hide more than protect. Mm. This was embarrassing. This was really embarrassing. Now, speaking of embarrassing, do you guys know what this was about? Does anybody know what this is about? I'll give you a minute to answer that question. Does anybody know why Kamala is going, or why is Tim making that face? Does anybody know? Yes, Heather, absolutely. It was the couch. It was the couch because Vance seems to have a thing, allegedly, for furniture. He loves furniture. In a biblical sense, he loves furniture. There's nothing like a good settee um, to bring pleasure to him. Lots of pleasure. Boom, 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 boom. I could just hear some Barry White playing. Boom, 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 boom. uh, right? Can you hear the Barry White? Is it just me, or can you hear that Barry White playing? Oh, darling, I can't get enough of your love, baby. Oh, you know, they say that that's I don't know. They say it isn't true. I don't know. I don't know. I just know what they say, and we know they're never wrong, right? They're never wrong. So it's hard to say. I've heard people say that too much of anything is not good for you, baby. Oh. But I don't know about that. As many times as we've loved and we've shared love and made love, oh, my darling, I can't get enough of your love, baby. Girl, I don't know why. I can't get enough of your love, baby. oh, oh well, to each their own. To each their own. I've never really been to Appalachia, but I hear that it's kind of hard to pass the time. uh, the other thing, the other thing is people have been trying to credit the makeup line. I don't know why people keep saying that he wears eyeliner. I mean, yes, it looks kind of weird. He looks kind of weird, But eyeliner, I don't know about that. I mean, you see him. Does he look like he's wearing eyeliner? Or is that just the natural shading effect from his dark lashes that happens to be just as thick on the bottom as they are on the top? Oh well. I hope we don't learn nothing weird about his lashes. Well, you know what to put a stop to it. Put some toothpicks or something in between them cushions. That'll put a stop to it. And of course, check it out. Donnie, it's me, your worst nightmare, a strong, powerful black woman of color. Oh, I love this one. I could just hear her saying that. Donnie, it's me, your worst nightmare. uh, you know, if there is a place called hell, Donald Trump's hell is black women because prosecutors, judge, even his parole officer, if he is, when he gets his sentencing, they showed the lady who's likely to be his parole officer, and she just happens to be black. That's all. Just like the Dollar Tree and Family Dollar sold out of eyeliner. Anyway, you guys, I'm almost done. Hope, hate, heal, grow. And of course, there's one of those beautiful, what do you call it? Um, AI images of the future president as Lady Liberty lighting her torch of freedom. We need that nowadays. And Harris for president, we choose freedom. And of course, not to be forgotten, the Marvel comic version, or is it DC comic version of the vice president, soon to be president. And of course, United for Harris. For the people. So right now, we're at that weird point where there's not really any good slogans, official slogans, but just hang on tight. After during the convention, there's going to be a platform, right? She's going to lay out her platform. You see, the Republicans right now, they keep saying, she doesn't even have a platform. Well, hell, she wasn't running for president, but a month. We only found out that she was running a month ago. So, of course, she doesn't have a platform. She wasn't the presidential candidate. Biden had a platform. And just because she's vice president doesn't mean that she's going to have the same platform. So, if you hear anybody saying, well, why won't she tell us what her platform is? It's because she's only been running for president for less than a month. She'll come out with that information when she's ready, most likely the convention. So we have a presidential nomination or on a ticket. And and we'll find out. We will find out very soon. So, and if there's anybody who is skeptical or whatever, just hold your horses. Is all of that information is coming. And with that, you guys, guess what? I'm done. I am done. So I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you so much to the Mod Squad. And I do apologize. We went way too long tonight. I did not mean to carry on. But as I said, this thing with the the haters and stuff like that, I felt like it needed some clarity, and also for the sake of Harry and Meghan with the all the body language stuff, I felt as though that needed a discussion. So okay, so we're off. All right, love you guys. I will see you next time. Yeah, they said the first person that passed that false information was a businesswoman. A British businesswoman is accused of being the first person to pass false information just hours after the three girls were slain at the Taylor Swift dance workshop last Monday. I don't want to say her name because I don't feel like I should. But anyway, um, the wrong name of the boy accused of carrying out the attack before the victims had been identified. That person, and she's 55 years old, that person wrote at 4:49 p.m. and she came up with this name which sounds, is obviously a Muslim name, an Arab Muslim name, was the suspect. Where did she get that name from? He was an asylum seeker who came to the UK by boat last year around social media, sparking far right. You know, as they say, a lie can travel around the world faster than the truth can get its pants on. Ain't that something? A blatant lie. She told a blatant lie. And look at what it's cost people. Mm-mm-mm. Anyway, you guys, let me stop thinking about this for a while. But thank you all for being here, and I hope it's been helpful to some of you all that may also find yourself struggling with this. But it's unfortunate for everyone. Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. No riots for that. Oh yeah, yeah. They actually show her picture and everything. So I don't know if she's been arrested. I didn't get that far into the article, so I don't know if she's been arrested or what. But she stopped her supporters who yelled back, "Lock them up!" Nope, 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 nope. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong thing, ain't I? Oh no, yeah, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Um, it doesn't say she's been arrested. Wow. Her post was deleted hour after an hour after it appeared, but then the false information was widely repeated. So she only had the information up for 1 hour. It was just a mistake. I did a really stupid thing. But where did you get the name from? Why was it so specific that you even had a name? She said, I copied and pasted it from what I saw and added the line, if this is true. Yeah, I don't think she's been arrested. Troublemaker. Okay, you guys. I gotta try to. I am disturbed by this, but I don't like migrants, immigrants, asylum seekers. I just do not like that type of mistreatment. I do not like it. I do not like that. I think it's very. You know what? I'm gonna play something for you guys. I'm gonna play something for you, and then I'm gonna say goodnight. I heard this guy preaching the other day. Let me see. Oh, it was powerful. It was powerful. And maybe you've heard it already, but it's about Christianity, about what Christianity is, what it should be, what it is. Hold on a second, you guys. But you know what? If you got to go, you can just run it to the end tomorrow or later or whatever.
Means more to me than anything. But if I'm being, my granddad was a Baptist preacher. I've been a member of this church since I was 2 years old. And now I'm in seminary studying to become a minister myself. My faith means more to me than anything.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to play this and I'm going to try to get his picture up so you can see what he looks like. Okay? But let me do this first. But I tell you, I listened to it several times and that's very rare for me. But I had to listen.
Very honest. Sometimes I hesitate. My granddad was a Baptist preacher. I've been a member of this church since I was 2 years old. And now I'm in seminary studying to become a minister myself. My faith means more to me than anything. But if I'm being very honest, sometimes I hesitate before telling someone I'm a Christian. There is a cancer on our religion. Until we confess the sin that is Christian nationalism and exorcise it from our churches, our religion can do a lot more damage than a six-pack of Lone Star. There is nothing Christian about Christian nationalism. It is the worship of power, social power, economic power, political power in the name of Christ. And it is a betrayal of Jesus of Nazareth. He told us we would know them by their fruits. Jesus includes, Christian nationalism excludes. Jesus liberates, Christian nationalism controls. Jesus saves, Christian nationalism kills. Jesus started a universal movement based on mutual love. Christian nationalism is a sectarian movement based on mutual hate. Jesus came to transform the world. Christian nationalism is here to maintain the status quo. They have co-opted the Son of God. They've turned this humble rabbi into a gun-toting, gay-bashing, science-denying, money-loving, fear-mongering fascist. And it is incumbent upon all Christians to confront it and denounce it.
Amen.
How did this happen? The first followers of Jesus didn't call themselves Christians. They called themselves the Way. Their crucified teacher taught them a different way of being human, and they intended to follow it. The early church was a revolutionary community built on radical love, a peculiar people who shared all their possessions and refused to participate in the economy, the military, or the culture. The book of Acts tells us that the first Christians were persecuted for turning the world upside down. But 300 years after Jesus was executed by the Roman Empire, Emperor Constantine made Christianity the official state religion of that very same empire. Constantine was the first Christian nationalist. Pro-war, pro-wealth, pro-white supremacy. That original countercultural movement became a tranquilized, privatized, weaponized religion, the official sponsor of Western civilization. A religion of sharing became a religion of greed. A religion of peace became a religion of violence. A religion of forgiveness became a religion of judgment. A religion of ego transformation became a religion of ego affirmation. Today, Christian nationalists obsess over people's private parts while the planet burns. The Bible doesn't mention abortion or gay marriage, but it goes on and on about forgiving debt, liberating the poor, and healing the sick. Christian nationalists like to say this is a Christian nation. Not only is that historically inaccurate, not only is that theologically blasphemous, but it's also just not true. Look around us. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would forgive student debt. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would guarantee healthcare to every single person. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would love all of our LGBTQ neighbors. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would make sure every child in this state and in this country was housed, fed, clothed, educated, and insured. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would never make it a Christian nation, because we know the table of fellowship is open to everybody, including our Buddhist, Hindu, Jewish, Muslim, Sikh, and atheist neighbors. Jesus could have started a Christian theocracy, but love would never do that. The closest thing we have to the kingdom of heaven is a multiracial, multicultural democracy where power is truly shared among all people, something that's yet to exist in human history. My granddad.
Okay, so there you go. Sorry, I wasn't able to share the photo. The Wi-Fi is a little slow, but let me see if I could do it now. But I thought that was powerful. I thought that was powerful. I felt like he really spoke truth as it is, and not how opportunistic people want it to be. So I don't even know what his name is. I just happened to come across it one day, and I was just like, wow, that is intense. He is amazing. Oh, now it pops up. Okay, let me try to get his image up here for you. If you know what his name is, let me know. I couldn't figure it out. Someone posted it on X and did not include his name. Okay, here you go. There it is. Powerful, very powerful. Karen, thank you so much for being here. I didn't know you were here. Um, yeah, I've heard so many times. Years ago, I heard someone say that Jesus wouldn't recognize Christianity. He would not recognize it, not the way that people have interpreted. He wouldn't recognize it. Okay, you guys. So that'll give you something to think about tonight. I hope it leaves you in a good place. And I will see you all tomorrow or later today for some of you. Hell, later today for me too. But yeah, I'll try to figure out who this guy is. Maybe I can do a image search on Google. Matter of fact, I'll do that right now and see if I can tell you what his name is. Oh, okay. I think that's him. Let me figure out who this is. Um, nope. It's just somebody else that shared his message. Oh gosh, what is his name? All right, they have him here. Um, okay, let me try another one. Oh, I love that. I love that. I'm sorry. Give me a chance, you guys. I'm still trying to sort this out. But please don't stay up any later if you have to get some sleep. This is so weird. I cannot find his name. Oh, weird. Okay, let me try another photo. Um, everybody's sharing it, but I don't see his name anywhere. How weird is that? All right, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm gonna go. I'll try to figure out what his name is tomorrow. But I see where everybody's sharing, but nobody mentions his name. Is it James? No. Is that right? James? No. Let me try that one. I see it on a TikTok video. It says James Starleak. No, I think that's the name of the channel. I'm sorry. James Starlarico? No, that can't be it. Weird, I cannot find his name. And I see what people have shared him over and over again, and yet I cannot find a name for him. Oh, here's a Facebook post. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh, that is his name. He's a state representative. His name is James Talarico. Talarico. That is his name. I'm going to have to follow him. Here, I'll show you what I just found. I'll show it to you. Give me just a second. I'll show you what I just found. This guy is brilliant. I love him. He's brilliant. Who knows? He might be the next Jimmy Carter. Okay, I'll show you what I found. Oh, here you go. Wait, there you go. James Tallarico, state representative. I don't know what state. Oh, Texas. I see it up there, Texas. Wow, he's from Texas. Okay. Oh, and someone just sent me a PayPal. JF, thank you so much for that. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Yes, young, handsome, and brilliant. So if you want to hear some more of him, I believe he does have a TikTok. I believe he's on TikTok. Or you can follow him on Facebook. I love that. That was beautiful. So well said. So well said. Okay, you guys, it has been far too long. I am going to say goodnight. Love you guys, and thank you for being here. I think we covered some good stuff tonight. I really do. Okay, ciao.